to merge or to combine innovation and the alternative part of finance somehow. Martin, please.
Thank you, Dama, for the introduction. Good day, everybody. I see the audience is quickly thinning, so you are the brave last man standing. I will try to be pretty fast. Once again, my name is Martin Vlachynský. Those of you who are from Slovakia maybe know me as an economist from the Ines Institute, but here today I'm representing Pedal Consulting, which is a private consultancy and a partner in the Altfinator project. What is Altfinator? Well, the name stands for alternative financing or alternative forms of financing. Probably since you are sitting here on the Tech.Summit conference, you don't need to be explained what exactly is alternative forms of financing. Maybe just some quick notes. These forms emerged in the last decade, 15 years, especially in these parts of the world, non-Anglo-Saxon parts of the world, and often they are pretty good match for innovative SMEs who cannot get the traditional financing from banks due to their size or negative cash flow or their maturity and similar reasons. So often alternative forms of financing are a good solution for these SMEs. On the other hand, the Altfin sector itself is in its, let's say, late infancy, especially outside the US and UK, and often faces many barriers. And SMEs who want to use Altfin sources often themselves hit several obstacles. And this is the main goal or main scope of Altfinator. The main goal is to first identify these barriers, and to help to overcome these barriers and to help in the growth of this sector in the European Union. How to achieve it? The project started in the spring or early summer. It has 4 phases. One phase is mapping, analyzing the ecosystem of alternative finances in the target countries. The second phase is creation of strategic and implementation plan. And these 2 will feed to the following 2 actions, which are the creation of pan-European online hub, which should be the big key resource for all stakeholders wanting to find any kind of knowledge regarding alternative financing in European Union, especially in the target countries. And the second action is cooperation with local movements, let's say, local initiatives in improving the environment in the target countries. Here are some examples of the actions which will be done. Some of them are online, some of them are offline, happening in the target countries, which are these. As you can see, the project Altfinator focuses heavily on Central and East European countries and on the Southern Europe region. But also, of course, we feed on the knowledge or on the experience of the more developed markets, especially the United Kingdom, France, Germany, and other Western European countries. Here you can see the list, the scope of the various forms of alternative financing we want to focus. I will not go item by item, but let's say we divide them into 2 broad groups. One group is online, as you can see, especially represented by several types of crowdfunding. The one we bit ironically call traditional. So the traditional, untraditional type of financings are business angels and VC funds and some others, which have been in the world for quite some time. So enough of advertising. We have the project, as I said, is only in its first phase, first few months, which were used or utilized for a mapping analysis of the ecosystem, and we already have some results which you may find interesting and which are definitely interesting for us, because this will provide some insights into the future strategy. First number, this is the total size of the Altfin ecosystem as the project defined it, And you can see the absolutely clear leader is United Kingdom with more than 5 billion in it, followed by a big distance by France and Germany. On the other hand, in our target countries, which you can see below the blue line, Italy and Spain stand out a bit. Czech Republic and Poland, a bit Baltics, but the remaining countries, the rankings are even not important because the size is so small that one or two funding projects can completely mix the rankings. If we turn it into the per capita numbers in the right column, you can see that again leader is the United Kingdom, but especially the Baltic countries have very interesting results in per capita finance in Altfin sector. So this suggests that this is really even in this field in Altfin, as in many fields like e-government, and similarly the Baltic states seem to have some good practices already in place. Regarding the number of providers, still dominant are the traditional, untraditional ones. That means venture capital funds and business angels with more than 300 providers in the target countries. On the other hand, especially various forms of crowdfunding are quite quickly gaining some ground with at least 100 providers we identified in the target countries. On the other hand, it seems some types of alternative finances are not present in the target countries at all. About the distinction between the online forms and the, let's say, offline forms, only in the Czech Republic and Italy the online forms seem to have be pretty strong, but in all the remaining target countries the offline forms, in terms of number of providers, not the size, are dominant. Generally the whole average is about 2 to 1 against the online forms. Here you can see in comparison of total numbers of providers in 3 subdivisions of the target countries: South Europe, Central Eastern Europe, and Southeastern Europe. In the South Europe, especially Spain and Italy are the strongest countries. Portugal seems to be much more behind. When compared to Southeastern Europe, the Central Eastern Europe seems to be doing much better, again, at least in terms of number of providers. And the final statistics, we identified pretty many associations, again related to VC funds and business angels. Not so many associations regarding, for example, crowdfunding. So there's again space for improvement that these providers, the online providers, can in the future organize themselves more to help improve the environment for them. And now the project is working or finishing the work on the best practices, or vice versa, the worst practices or biggest problems. And this can be divided into 3 general groups. One group is problems with regulations. The existing regulations in the CE countries are often pretty unfit for the innovative mode of financing. And the providers in many countries hit the wall of the inability to even start working on it, even if there is interest on both sides, on the side of the provider and on the side of the SME, that the regulations simply do not allow such kind of financial contract or funding contract for the SMEs. The second group of core problems is the knowledge of SMEs about the alternative forms of financing, and not only the knowledge about the existence, but for example, preparing their business model in such a way that they can ask or they can enter some kind of scheme which would be able to provide them with finances. Simply, many SMEs are just set for the standard bank loans or hoping to achieve bank loans, and not really trying to prepare or offer their business models to the alternative providers. And the third group of core problems is the general risk aversion in the region, lower levels of trust, which are more needed in this sector of alternative financing, and which will be probably the most difficult to overcome in the future. That's all. I hope I fulfilled my promise to be quick. If you are interested in anything, you can just visit the website altfinator.eu and follow the social media. The project will last for at least 1.5 years more, so there will be more and more appearing on the website and more materials available for you. Thank you.
Thank you.